This is the Extra Point Podcast. During this podcast, we will dive deeper into our Sunday teaching and share practical next steps for your faith journey. Now, let's kick off the Extra Point.
Hey, welcome to the Extra Point. I'm Cheryl Ross, the Next Steps and Discipleship Pastor here at Southridge Church, and I'm with Scott Beha, our lead pastor. And before we get into our Extra Point, I want to make sure that if you haven't liked or subscribed to this podcast, that you go ahead and do so. That way you don't miss out on any new content. So this past Sunday, we were continuing in our Rise and Fall series through 2 Samuel, and we are in chapter 12, which was the kind of aftermath a bit later from the whole David and Bathsheba thing. And so I shared about the idea that when we're confronted with our sin, then it should lead to confession and true repentance and what that looks like. Pastor Scott, from your view, like when you're just reading through this, what do you think it looks like when we maybe think that we've gotten away with our sin and then we're confronted with it suddenly? How does how we respond in that moment really help us or hurt us?
I think one of the things that really stuck out to me when you were talking about Nathan confronting David was as a preacher, I felt like this is probably something that happens every week at every church. Is that when David is listening to that story of confrontation, he is thinking it's about somebody else. And the reason why is because it's so difficult for us to see ourselves as the one that messed up. And so it's how you respond to it is so difficult, because this is one of the most difficult things in the Christian life, is to get someone to see themselves accurately. Like every sermon, it's like someone's going, "Oh, I know someone that needs to hear this," and I'm in my office writing it and going, you need to hear this, right? Like what? Like, and we have that like it never fails. People will come up after a sermon and go, "Oh my goodness, I'm going to share this with so and so." I'm like,
I feel like it's the whole, when I was doing it, I kept thinking about the speck and log story from Jesus. Like that's just what kept going, because I feel like it's so easy to recognize it in somebody else. But it's because it's in you.
When David saw it in the fake story, he's like, "Oh my gosh, this enrages me." And Nathan's like, "Bro, that was you. You did that." And it's like, oh. Which I commend David for the way that he responds. And the way that David responds is evidence that even though he had a really bad day, essentially, or many days after you calculated in all that murder and everything, it wasn't the end of his journey. The way that he responded, and that to me is one of the most difficult things, even if we take it outside of the realm of sin, because that's like a really like difficult thing for people to be confronted with. But even if you take it out of that, like if you're a boss at a job and you have to hold people accountable, they hate that. They hate that when you go, "Hey, here's your performance. Here's what you've been doing." And honestly, I'll be honest, as a boss, it's not that much. If you're a boss and you enjoy doing that, then you're just not a nice person. But you're also not a nice person if you don't do that either. But like in any area of life, humanity does not want to be shown the real who they are, of like, "Oh, this is what you did. Like, you're the man." And you're like, "Oh my gosh." We
want to give the reasons. We want to give the excuses. We want to cast blame.
You know, if most of us were David, we'd have been like, "Well, wait a second, Nate. First off, I'm the king, so who are you to say anything to me? You know, I'm the Lord's anointed. He chose me." You know, and then he could have had all sorts of, you know, "I didn't go out to war because of this, and this. And, you know, I know I got these other wives, but they ain't like Bathsheba." And, you know, like if it was any of us, we would have had excuse after excuse after excuse for why we exhibited bad behavior. And so that for me, it's so hard to hold people accountable in their faith journey, especially at a church. So what happens now in 2025 is when you hold people accountable now in the Christian assembly, they will just cross spiritual abuse and go to the next church and tell them how awful you are. Like when you hold somebody accountable, they go, well, now I'm offended because you're not supposed to judge. And he goes, well, that's not what that Bible verse means at all.
Right.
And they'll just go to the next church and cross spiritual abuse. And again, I'm not saying the spiritual abuse doesn't happen. Definitely does. People are getting called out on it all the time, losing their jobs over. I'm not saying spiritual abuse doesn't happen, but I'm saying like if your church is really just trying to hold you accountable for and trying to help you take your next steps on your faith journey and you just don't like it, that you can tell everything you need to know about a person's walk with the Lord. If you can't be confronted with the truth of what you have done, you actually don't have the Spirit of God within you.
Yeah.
Like that's the difference. And I know we run around in the holiness movement, which we get some folks in our movement that will not agree with this, and I get that, but I know plenty more in our movement that do agree with this. I don't think the holiness movement is saying that you're going to be sinless from now until the day that Jesus comes back. I think that might be your intention. I think that might be the perfection of your heart's desire is to be that, but you may not practically live that out. The evidence as to whether or not you're actually on the right path with the Lord is when you fall, how you respond.
Yes.
Not if you do or don't fall.
Right.
And if you really have the Spirit of God within you, it will be grieved at your sin. And you won't try to hide it. You won't try to excuse it away like, how dare you? No, it'll be like, that is who I am. And if you really understand your relationship with the Lord, you won't feel like you have to do that because you'll understand that my Father still loves me, right? At the end of the day, like as a dad, when my kids mess stuff up, am I, upset with them? Yes. Is God upset with you? I don't think that's how he operates. He's a much better father than I am. But like, at the end of the day, even as a very imperfect father on my kids' worst days, I'm not going, well, I don't love them no more. I guess they better pack up their stuff and get out of my house. No, there won't be a day when that happens where even as an imperfect father, and so you just have to realize you don't even have any need to be defensive when you're confronted. Like I was just having a conversation recently, and we were talking about some stuff going on at church and stuff, and because just frankly, people are very unfair towards churches. It's funny, like you come to a church, you want us to treat you as an imperfect person, but you want us to be a perfect organization. It's a very unfair thing. I'm not here to say whatever. I'm just saying that's what it is. But I was talking about this, and I said, here's the deal. If someone comes to us and 99% of what they say is wrong, but there can even be 1% that we can learn from it, we should learn from it and not take a position of how dare you. Right? I was just having a conversation with someone at our church a couple of weeks ago, and in one certain situation, we dropped the ball as a staff. We just did. We screwed something up. And I said, if this person would come and speak to us, they would come to find out that I'm incredibly sorry for what happened, and I would admit that we did something wrong. And even though I have this reason, this reason, this reason, this reason, and this reason why all of this happened, I would never say any of that to them because I would just admit, we didn't get it right.
Yeah.
And that needs to be the same posture. Like when we are confronted, like in ministry, this is one of the most uncomfortable things we have to do in ministry.
Yeah.
It's like, especially when you're in high level leadership. Like I've had to dismiss someone. When I was a youth pastor, I had to dismiss someone from my youth ministry team because their life did not match up with the lifestyle that we said, this is what it takes to be in leadership here. If you can't do this. And it was like, well, cry foul now that you did, I had to do this with other people, and when they do, they go, "Oh, I cannot believe." And I'm like, "No, I can't believe that you come to our church and serve in our church and are engaged in this sort of stuff, and then act as if we're not supposed to respond to it, right?" So, like, I think defensiveness is one of the ugliest things that I see in most people's character. And why I hate that is defensiveness, whether it's spiritually or professionally or anything else, will always keep you from becoming the best version of yourself. Because you'll always have an excuse. If it's always somebody else, oh no, this is why it was like this. I'm an exception to the rule. If it's that, again, you may receive feedback from me on your job performance that you might disagree with 75% of it, and that's perfectly fine. But if you can learn from 25% of it, just take the 25% and get better.
Yeah.
Right. And it's the same thing. You might get held accountable by someone in your life group, and they go like, hey, I don't think that relationship is good for you. And they may not know everything about the relationship that you know, but is there anything at all that you can learn from that? If so, just say, don't fight back. Don't defend it. Just go, thank you so much for what it is that you've said. I'm going to take that into consideration. Because in every situation, there's probably never a situation where there's feedback given or accountability given that the person giving it has 100% of the information.
Right.
But that doesn't mean that you can't learn. Again, even if you can learn 1% something new out of a situation, they can be 99% wrong, but if they have even a shred of truth in what they are saying, you have to learn how to receive that. And honestly, the Christian culture, because we have gone the way of the world in a lot of ways, and we think, Matthew 7:1, don't judge, is how we're supposed to operate. And it's like, wait a second, that's not at all what that verse means. Like, read the rest of the verse. Don't judge lest you be judged. By the same measure that you judge others, it's the measure that you'll be used. So it means don't hold someone to an unfair standard if you don't want them to hold you to an unfair standard. It also, at the end of that passage, one of the most confusing verses that people are always like, I don't even know what to do with this. But again, because Jesus isn't a crazy person, when he was teaching in the Sermon on the Mount, he wasn't just flip-flopping to different topics. As sometimes people get to that verse, it says, don't throw your pearls before swine. They don't know what to do with that verse because they're like, weren't we just talking about don't judge lest you be judged? How do we get to pigs and pearls and all this? He's like, well, what he was saying is, and a lot of times when you're exercising accountability, it's going to, like, if you don't have the relationship with that person and they're not the type of person that is healthy enough to receive feedback, it's going to feel like you're taking this very valuable thing and tossing it in front of a pig. That's what Christian accountability looks like a lot in the church. And then the pig runs off to another church and goes, they spiritually abused me over there because they were digging into this and this, and they wouldn't let me serve because I wasn't up to this certain. It's like, there has to be levels of accountability within the body of Christ. We can't function like crazy people. Like, you can't have people up on your stage that are in inappropriate relationships. And then when the pastor comes up to teach on relationships, it's like, well, wait a second, you just platformed people. Or like, you can't have people in leadership that don't exhibit what it is. Again, we're not asking for perfection, but there does have to be some standard. And when the standard is broken, then there needs to be some sort of communication to the way that person can be restored and healed the way that David was. And again, as a ministry leader, you'll know exactly the type of person that you're dealing with when you confront, if there's an open receptivity to what's being said. If it's a constant pushback, or if it's nothing but reputation management. I had someone one time ask me when I was holding them accountable for something that they had done and they were in a leadership position at this church. The first question out of their mouth was this: who else knows about this? Tells you everything you need to know about the person. You're here for reputation management. You're not here for true repentance. Because they go, well, I've already repented of this to God, and this is nobody else's business. Oh, no, I'm sorry. That's not actually true. This is a family. This is a body. What you do affects everybody. No, I don't think that we should be out there telling your business to everybody. But yes, some people have to know, because to exercise church discipline properly, some people are going to have to know about it. And if you're only worried about who knows about what you did, you have not yet gotten to the point where you're truly exercising godly sorrow. Because at the moment that you're exercising true godly sorrow, you don't even care who knows. Like, you're like, I got to get right with the Lord. No matter whatever it is, I got to get right with the Lord. And so if you're asking questions about who'd you tell about this, this is not being held accountable because you are part of a church body is not spiritual abuse. It's actually one of the most loving things that you can do. If you're at a church that doesn't hold you accountable, doesn't speak truth to you, you're not at a Bible-believing church, and you're ultimately probably sleeping good at night because you have a little bit of religion in your life, but you're very much in danger of being another person that Jesus talks about in the Sermon on the Mount. Depart from me, I never knew you.
Yeah.
You workers of iniquity. Oh, but we served and we gave and we showed up at church. Depart from me. I never knew you.
Yeah.
And so you can tell a lot about a person about what happens when you confront them with the truth of who they are. And this is why David is such a good example that chapter 11 is a really weird. If you've been following David as long as we've been following David, like every time the guy turns around, he's getting it right.
Yeah.
He's just, yep. He's asking God, I won't even move to Hebron until you tell me that's exactly where I'm supposed to go. I won't do this. I won't do this. I won't do this. And then on this one chapter, it's like, Dave, you went wild, man. Yeah. Adultery, murder, like, all this stuff. You went wild. What in the world happened? And then when he's confronted with it, this is another reason why he was the better Saul. When Saul was confronted, Saul defends. Saul's like, no, I'm the king of Israel. No, I'm in charge here. When David is confronted, he repents, and he's going to be different. And you get into this later on in the sermon. Here's the other side of it, and I say this all the time around here, is that your confession of what you did does not remove the consequences of what you did, because Nathan comes back and says, you're not going to lose your life. You're not going to lose your royal dynasty that the Lord has already promised you. But this child is not going to make it.
Yeah.
Which is I'll just be honest, this is a really messed up passage to try to explain to an audience in 2025. And you go, that seems kind of petulant on the side of God. Like, he said he was sorry. I mean, why's this kid got to die?
And we see, like, that once the child becomes sick, like David, I mean, he fasts, he prays, like, he begs God not to allow this to happen, but the child dies.
It's also really important for the modern audience that's reading that probably definitely has an issue. Yeah. Because I could just hear people going like, whoa, wait a second. Isn't this the pro-life people? And, like, they've got, like, what God is, like, like, what's going on? It's also really, really important to remember that the way that God deals with humanity in the new covenant on the other side of the cross is drastically different than how God dealt with humanity under the old covenant before the cross. So it's very, very important for you to remember that. So when you get to passages in the Old Testament where you're like, that doesn't seem like the God that Jesus was pointing us to at all, just remember, not a different book, not a different God. It's a different covenant. And the way that God dealt with Israel, especially Israel's highest ranking official, it was still a blessing and curse covenant. Meaning, sometimes you will pay the price. But it's really, really important for us to make sure that we understand in 2025 that this is not the way that God is currently dealing with humanity. This is why I cringe when people are like, tell me that they're going through something difficult in their life, and they go, it's because I did something. And they go, no. This is not the way that God is operating right now. There are churches that still teach that. I get that. But, like, I remember we had a dad here once. His son was very, very sick with cancer. And when I met with them, he told me, he said, I think it's because of the way I've been living. And I go,
well, because there are people that believe that and that have been taught that. Like,
I'm like, no,
in churches.
No. God is not out there striking kids with cancer. Yeah. Because of the faults of their parents. That is, that's not what's happening. Under the Old Testament, Israel was to be punished in a very temporal sense, meaning like in the moment, for transgressing against the law of God. Because of what Jesus has done in and through his life, death, and resurrection. He is now, God is now dealing with humanity under a covenant of grace, being able to pass over what it is that you have done, and you don't have to pay a punishment right in that moment. So, like I use this example a lot, and it's because it was a really disgusting example. Like when Houston flooded, there were Christians all over the internet saying it was because they had a gay mayor. And I'm like, that is absolutely absurd. How could how could the people of God say something so heinous? First off, about their own God.
Well, even if you look at Old Testament God, let's look at Abraham and Sodom and Gomorrah, right? Like whenever Abraham was pleading with like, hey, but what if there are 50 righteous? What if there are 40? Like God's like, I will spare it for those. Like, and so it just doesn't even make sense in my mind.
It's such a gross way of looking at God. And so, yes, when you look at this passage and you see that no, this baby's not going to make it, just realize we are dealing with the same God in a different covenant. It's a different time. It's a different way God was dealing with humanity. And so it's very hard. Like when you read these stories, because there's some wild stuff in the Old Testament where God's going, oh, really? I'm going to send poisonous snakes into the Israelites' camp. And you're like, to punish them. I'm like, what? So is that snake in my backyard because I did something I'm not supposed to?
Yeah.
No. God is not dealing with humanity like that on this side of the cross.
Yeah. There will still be babies that die.
Yes.
But I think that like things like that, I think are part of, because death was not part of the original plan.
Exactly. It will not be like, let's say if a woman has a miscarriage, it is never because she has personally, or that father has personally sinned.
Yeah.
Like we have to get rid of any sort of theology that talks like that.
Yeah.
That's absurd. Like if your child gets sick, don't come up and go, what did I do wrong?
Yeah.
No. And we talked about this a couple of weeks ago about suffering and evil.
Yeah.
The world is just deeply, deeply broken.
Yeah.
We are experiencing the pains of that. It's no longer tied to your personal sin the way that it was for Israel. There was you do this, you get this. You do this, I will punish you in this way. That's not what's going on in the new covenant.
Yeah. And the other side, like one of the things that I read in the commentary that I found interesting was that like for Western culture where we talk about individualism a lot, it is hard to understand the cumulative effect and the effect that sin can have on a group of people, because like in Old Testament Israel, like there was a cumulative aspect of like the tribes, like all the people in the area, like in Israel sinning together. Like there was a day of atonement that happened yearly to help cover for the whole. And so like even in Psalm 51 at the end, David says this. He says, let me read it. He says, look with favor. He said, the sacrifice you desire is of a broken spirit. You will not reject a broken and repentant heart. He said, look with favor on Zion and help her rebuild the walls of Jerusalem. Then you'll be pleased with the sacrifices. Like he was also worried about the nation because of what he had done. And I think that some of that is the fact, like when we think about how bad the world is and we want to say the world's worse than what, like it's just getting worse. It's just getting worse. I think some of that is the brokenness that just continues to get more broken. Like, you know what I mean? Like that we see it in more ways because of that, like just building upon broken on broken on broken.
Yeah. I wish more people had the mindset like David had. He's like, he realized his sin affected the whole community.
Yeah.
I wish more people, like, I wish that you understood that when you claim that you're a Christian and you claim that, oh, I go to this church, like the way that you live your life is a direct reflection upon the people that you claim to be a part of.
Yeah. And it's not so much about reputation. It's about that pain and damage control within the body. Like we're supposed to build the body, equip the body, encourage the body. Like your sin does not do that. It breaks it.
It's very difficult for people outside the church to be interested in the church if their only examples are like I know so many times that we've dealt with this, and this, I'm not trying to pick on any one certain sin, but so many times we find people dating. One of them's a Christian, one of them's not a Christian, or they're, whatever it might be. Listen, if you're the Christian in a relationship, but you're not setting a very good example because, oh, yeah, we're already sleeping together, we're already living together, or, I'm trying to get her to come to church on Sunday morning, but you're out at the club acting wild on Saturday.
Yeah.
It's like, you're not going to win that person over.
Right.
Like when your life is it's the same thing with your friends. Like if you got unsaved friends that you're like, man, I really want them to, there has to be something noticeably different about your life if you're ever going to win them over.
Yeah.
And I wish more people realized how much, like, their affiliation with the body of Christ and with a specific body here at Southridge Church. Like, if you're out acting wild, that affects all of us. It doesn't just affect you.
Yeah.
First time I ever preached David and Bathsheba, I did this sermon where I brought people up on stage. Every time a new person was introduced into the drama, I invited them up on stage, and the whole stage ends up being filled because David has this mindset when much like most of us, my sin only affects me. And when you're looking at a stage full of people, you go, oh, no, my sin affects a lot of people. And so I do want to make sure that we are clear. Like, God is not striking people down and killing them on behalf of their sin. That does, however, not mean that you are not going to face very natural consequences for your sin. Because, again, sin is what broke the world. Sin is what is wrong with the world. So it doesn't mean that you will not face very natural consequences, meaning if you get wasted this weekend and go and commit armed robbery, and then you come in here on Sunday and you ask for forgiveness from God and you genuinely mean it, God will forgive you. He will save you from your sins. He will start a relationship with you. That does not mean that the cops are not going to show up at your house Sunday afternoon and that you won't serve jail time.
Yeah.
There will still be consequences, very natural consequences.
Yeah. And some are more immediate than others. Like, I think, because I look at it as like what we see with David, like we see his household will rebel. There will be things.
Yeah.
Like, I think we have to understand that in the example we set for our kids and others around us also affect those things because,
long term,
some of his kids potentially know the story, know what happened, know how Bathsheba became, in part of the family and all the things. And then you have that example before you. That's why I think, like, it's easy to see when, these people have gone through 3 marriages, but their parents went through 4, the whatever. Like, you see those things happen because it's an example set. It's what they see, and it affects them in ways that you just don't understand. Some of those things are immediate. Some of those things are long term.
Yeah, the reason why sin is not to be trifled with is it's not because God won't forgive it. God does. There's other consequences. Like, you want to go out and mess around on your spouse? Bro, listen. Yeah. Don't be shocked when your kids don't want anything to do with you the rest of your life. Like, that is, you can literally, like, God, I'm sorry, whatever, and that nothing can force your child back into a relationship with you after you've done that.
Yeah.
Like, nothing. I'm not saying that it's impossible. I'm just saying sometimes there's very long-lasting consequences. Yes. You can lose friends and all that.
Yeah. And not only do your kids not want anything to do with you, but, like, often it messes them up in the way that, like, they don't trust a man. Like, it's hard for them to fully trust a man when they enter into a relationship because they know what their dad did. And so it's always in the back of their mind, like, is this guy going to do what my dad did to my mom? Like, or, whatever. And so I think that we have to understand and remember those things, like that it's not that. But then there's that other side that, like, Nathan reminds David, hey, like, God gave you this. God gave you all these things. And I think it's when we forget, like, what we actually have and how thankful we should be for those things, like when we take those things for granted, that we often maybe step outside of that because we're searching for something else outside of what we already have or what God could give. And I don't know.
We're going to talk. I think we're going to get back to this Sunday just as a little preview.
Yeah.
But I think as I was listening to you teach yesterday that I just heard from the Lord maybe what really is going on in David's life in this moment. And I think, honestly, the more I think through what the Lord spoke to me in that moment, that as I think about my own shortcomings and the ways that I fall short, I think that they're tied to the same thing that David was dealing with. And if we were to extrapolate this across the whole congregation and across the whole community and our whole country and world, we would probably come to find that there's a similar issue that's tying all of us together.
Yep.
And the way that the church has been diagnosing it and treating it for as long as I've been around the church has been most unhelpful in how to handle it. And that's what I think that we're going to get into this coming week, because I think we dealt with the repentance side of it and the consequences. We did all of that really well, but I think there's something underlying here that might really set some of us free in our lives. So I'm excited for that. It was a great reminder. Like sometimes you can get into 2 Samuel 12 really heavy-handed at people. I don't feel like we did that, which I thought was really good reminder. Like, 'cause I don't know that Nathan came in there guns blazing.
No,
as much as Nathan was burdened for his friend and his king.
Yeah.
Man,
Yeah.
Like I think a lot of times early on in ministry, I would have wanted to read, "You're the man. You're that man." Yeah. And I wonder how much more Nathan was probably.
You're
man, that's you.
Yeah.
Dude. Like, look what you've done.
Yeah.
Look how all the broken. Like, I think there was probably a whole lot more grace.
Yeah.
That was shown than what sometimes we might get in a situation. Because honestly, if you're trying to hold somebody accountable, and it's because you have a position of power, not because you have the posture of love, then you're coming at it the wrong way anyways.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think, so this was something that we kind of talked through in Bible study a little bit, was like with this, because it doesn't really say, but I just assume based on like the later part of the text and everything, is that this was probably a private conversation.
Yeah.
Because even his like key officials here who are afraid to go and tell him that the child's dead, like they don't fully seem to know or understand what is going on, that David was expecting this, and that's why he was acting that way.
Right.
But I think that is like a little key nugget to like remember, that like this is a private, like you don't confront somebody with something like this like in front of a bunch of people. Like Nathan's coming to him privately, sharing this, having this conversation, so that way David can deal with it in the way that it needs to be done. And I think, obviously I think also that it probably happened when it did, somewhat in a way that like, I'm sure Nathan wrestled with that for a bit. Like, cause months have passed, like the baby's born right after, like the baby's obviously here right after this. 'Cause right after Nathan leaves, the child is sent a deadly illness. Right. And so like the way that it reads, that months have gone on. And perhaps there's a time, because I know those moments where I have to have that conversation, I wrestle with it for a bit. Like I test it, because I'm like, God, I don't know, God. Like, they have to be in the right place. It has to be in the right way, because I just can't come in like this. And so, I think that remembering like, hey, this is a serious thing, and this is not to be done in such a way that it can cause more harm, because that doesn't help anything. And I think we want to read it in the way where we say, "You are that man," because there's an exclamation point in our text, right? But
I think that we always think that, oh, Nathan's frustrated. And maybe he is.
Yeah.
But I'm just saying, I know the longer that I lead a church, the longer I follow Jesus. I was just telling someone this a couple weeks ago, like, to preach how to ruin your life the week after everything that went on in our, like, would have been so tone deaf to what people need. And like I remember early on in my ministry, like I was very fiery. Like I'm going to preach like the hell out of everybody. Like I'm just going to get after you. Like, and honestly, the more, maybe it happens with maturity, I don't know, but the more I go, like, these people show up on Sunday not to be kicked in the ribs every time that they show up for how awful they are. Like they need, like, I think we need a whole lot more encouragement. And I know that some people are very critical of that sort of, but like, it's not that we never say the hard thing.
I think you can do encouragement while also giving the tools to help them make their life better.
Yeah.
And I hope that's kind of what happened yesterday. Hey, like, call this out, but like encourage you that like, hey, there's a way forward from this. Like,
God's not finished with you.
Yeah.
Like,
because I think that's the tendency a lot of times when we get in that place. Like, when we get there, we want to just be like, there's no way God could ever take me back. Like, there's
Paul
no
tells
way.
us,
Like,
speak the truth in love.
Yeah.
Like, don't neglect to speak the truth. But I'm telling you, the people that we are dealing with in today's world need so much more love than you could ever begin to imagine. And so, like, yes, I mean, sometimes you're going to show up and it's just going to be a really difficult word. But I also think there's a lot of times people show up, and these people showing up on Sundays need encouragement.
Yeah.
They need reminded that God's not finished with them. God has not given up on them. Maybe you screwed up every single day this past week. God is still not done with you. He still has a purpose. He still has a plan, just like he did for David. And yes, David screwed up horribly and really hurt a lot of people, and God was still not done with him. And so if you see a little bit of your story in David's story, just know that.
Yeah.
Now, that doesn't remove your need to repent and confess and make things right, but just know God's not done with you.
Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah. Awesome. All right. Well, we'll be back here with another extra point and some more practical next steps for you next week. And we can't wait to see how you are going to share what the Lord spoke to you on Sunday. But we hope this was helpful. Again, make sure that you like and subscribe to this podcast. That way you don't miss out on anything else.
Thanks for tuning in to The Extra Point. Be sure to subscribe to the Southridge Church podcast and tune in every Wednesday for another episode of The Extra Point.